The day my mother died, the sky was unusually bright. No clouds, no rain, an unsettling calm that didn't match the chaos inside me. She had passed away in her sleep, without warning, without goodbye. People said that's the best way to go. Peacefully, but peaceful for whom? The funeral was quick, too quick. The moment the priest muttered the final prayer and the dirt began to fall onto the wooden coffin, something inside me snapped. It was real now. She was gone forever. I didn't cry. Not in front of the dozens of strangers who came to pat my back and whisper cliches. She was a wonderful woman. She's in a better place now. I nodded, thanked them with dry eyes, and watched their faces blur into the background. My father, however, was a statue, silent, not a single tear, just a tight jaw and tired eyes. He didn't speak a word to anyone, not even me. But when the last person left and the sun dipped just below the horizon, he finally turned to me and said something that chilled me more than the loss we were already enduring. Let's go home. There's something I need to ask you. Something important. His tone wasn't heavy with grief. It was cautious, almost secretive. We didn't speak during the ride home. He drove like a man with a destination beyond the map, both hands gripping the wheel too tightly. I watched the trees rush by the window, feeling like they were the only things moving forward while I remained frozen in time. Once we arrived, the house felt haunted not by ghosts, but by silence. The air still carried my mother's perfume. Her shawl was still draped over the armchair. Her teacup sat half full on the kitchen table. Time hadn't caught up here yet. I sat on the couch. My father stood across from me, pacing. Then he said it. "I need you to do something for me," he began, voice low. "Of course, Dad. Anything," I replied automatically. "No," he said, shaking his head. "Don't say yes so easily. Listen first." I nodded, sensing something was wrong, something beyond grief. He took a deep breath. "Before your mother died, we made a promise to each other. A pact." I blinked. What kind of pact? A truth. That if one of us died first, no matter what. I leaned forward. His next words were so out of place, so unreal, that I thought he was losing his mind. "You need to dig up your mother's grave tonight." My heart stopped. "What?" He looked me dead in the eyes. "There's something inside the coffin. Something that must not be buried. It was her wish." I stared at him, unsure whether to laugh or scream. "You want me to are? We buried her less." "I know. That's why we have to go tonight, before it's too late." "Too late for what?" He lowered his voice again, his eyes darting toward the dark windows like someone might be listening. "There's something buried with her, and if someone else finds it first, it could destroy everything." I should have said no. Okay, that was all it took. Within an hour, we were back at the cemetery. It was past midnight. The wind had picked up, brushing through the trees like whispers from the dead. We parked far from the gate, using the side path only groundskeepers would know. A flashlight wrapped in red cellophane to keep the light dim. "I know," he said, "but it's necessary." We moved in silence, guided by moonlight and memory. When we reached her grave, I froze. The mound was still fresh, a reminder of the ceremony hours earlier. My feet refused to step closer. "Why?" I asked again. "What's in the coffin?" He just started digging. Reluctantly, I joined him. Each strike of the shovel into the dirt felt like betrayal. After an hour, the metal edge hit wood. I dropped my shovel, my breath coming in short gasps. "Dad, we can't do this." He looked at me. "We've come too far." Then he pulled out a crowbar. With careful, shaking hands, he pried open the lid. The wooden casket groaned. A crack, a creak, and then the lid slid open. There she was, my mother, still pale, serene, and clutching something to her chest. A small, rusted metal box. I stepped back instinctively, bile rising in my throat. My father leaned in, reached for the box, and froze. His expression changed. Fear, no worse. He looked at me and whispered, "It's not the same box." "What do you mean?" This isn't the one I gave her. My skin turned cold. So, what is it? We stared at the box. It was locked. No key, no markings, just age and rust and mystery. Then my father did something unexpected. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small handgun. "Dad, if someone switched the box," he said quietly, "then someone else knows, and they're ahead of us." I was no longer sure this was just about grief, or love, or promises. This was something darker. We closed the casket, covered it with dirt again, working fast. Our hands blistered and dirty. But as I shoveled, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. Footprints, not ours, smaller, fainter. Someone had been here before us. Back home, the rusted box sat between us on the kitchen table like a cursed relic. Neither of us spoke for several minutes. The silence was too loud, the air too still. My father stared at the box with the same look he had at the funeral haunted, but this time, afraid. "You said it's not the original," I finally said. He nodded. "The one I gave her was wooden, with a brass lock and her initials carved into the top. This isn't it." I leaned in. "Then who put this one there?" He didn't answer. Instead, he opened the drawer, pulled out a screwdriver, and began prying at the rusted edges. The box creaked, resisting at first, but then, with a soft metallic sigh, it opened. Inside was a folded piece of aged paper, yellowed with time, and something else, a photograph. He picked up the paper with trembling hands, unfolded it slowly, then froze. "What is it?" I asked. He didn't speak. I took the paper from him and read the single line, written in my mother's delicate handwriting. "If you're reading this, they know." Chills crawled down my spine. Then I looked at the photo. It was a picture of my mother, much younger, standing beside a man I had never seen before. They were smiling, standing in front of a small white house with red shutters. There was something scribbled on the back. "Red Shutter House." Not even him. My father's face turned pale. "I told her to burn that photo," he muttered. "Who is he?" I asked. "Someone from before me. A man she once trusted. Before you were married." He shook his head. "Before she disappeared." I blinked. "Disappeared." He sighed and leaned back, rubbing his face. "Before she met me, your mother vanished for nearly 2 years. Her family thought she ran away. Then one day, she came back with no explanation. I didn't know about it until much later. And when I asked, she only said one thing: he's still out there." I stared at the photograph. "So, you think he's the one who switched the box?" "Maybe. Or someone working for him. Either way, if they know we dug up the grave, they'll come for us." The lights flickered. I froze. My father stood up and went to the window. "Stay here." He stepped outside, flashlight in hand. I waited 30 seconds. A minute, 2. Then I heard a knock. Not at the front door, but at the back. A soft, deliberate knock. I turned slowly, heart pounding. My legs refused to move, but I forced myself to the door. I peered through the curtain. No one. I exhaled, and then the door burst open from the front. My father stumbled in, clutching his side. Blood soaked through his shirt. "They were waiting outside," he gasped. "They have the address." "What address?" "The Red Shutter House." He shoved something into my hand. A key. "Go now, you need to find out the truth." I shook my head, panicking. "I can't leave you like this." "You have to. You don't know who you are. You don't know what she did." "What are you talking about?" Then he looked me dead in the eyes. "She didn't die of natural causes. She faked her death. The Red Shutter House was real. It sat abandoned on a forgotten stretch of road, cloaked by trees and silence. I arrived just before sunrise, the sky still bleeding pink across the horizon. My father's blood was still on my shirt. I hadn't slept. I hadn't cried. There was no room for that anymore. I used the key he gave me. The front door creaked open, revealing a stillness that felt older than the dust that coated every surface. Furniture draped in sheets, a fireplace filled with ash. The air smelled of rot and time, and yet it was all preserved. like someone was expecting a return. I stepped inside. The house whispered stories. Footsteps that weren't mine echoed above me. A shadow moved across the upstairs hallway, and I froze. "Hello!" I called out. Silence. Then, a voice. Female.com. "I knew you'd come." I turned, standing at the foot of the stairs. Was my mother alive? Not aged, not weak. Alive. I stumbled back. You died. I buried you." She nodded, stepping forward. "I had to. It was the only way." "The only way for what?" "To protect you. To protect us." My hands clenched. "Protect us from who?" "From WHAT, she sighed. "From the people who built this house. From the man in that photograph. The man you ran from. He was never just a man," she said. "He was part of something bigger. A group. They used me. Trained me. I did things, horrible things. Until I ran." "You were a spy," I whispered. "Worse, I was an asset. A sleeper. Activated only when needed. Your father found me, loved me anyway. He helped me escape. And this place? It's the first safe house I ever ran to. It holds everything: documents, names, recordings. Everything they would kill to keep hidden." I swallowed hard. "Then why come back now?" She looked away. "Because someone found us. I got sick at the wrong time. Couldn't run again. So I faked my death to buy time for you." I stepped closer. "Dad's hurt bad. He told me you didn't die naturally." She hesitated. "Because I didn't. I took a drug. One that slows everything. Fools the heart monitors. Buys a few hours. Your father knew. He was supposed to dig me up. Someone else got there first," I said. "They switched the box." She paled. "Then they're close." Suddenly, the window shattered behind us. A bullet embedded in the wall. "Go!" she shouted, grabbing my hand. We ran down a narrow hallway into a basement, concrete walls. Shelves filled with old radios, files, weapons. She locked the door behind us. "I never wanted this for you," she said, handing me a folder labeled Project Mirror. "What is this?" "Proof of everything, of who they are, what they're capable of." "Then let's give it to the police." She shook her head. "They're in on it." The door upstairs creaked open. Heavy boots. They'd found us. "Listen to me," she said, clutching my shoulders. "There's a tunnel in the back of this room. It'll take you to the forest. Burn the file after you memorize it. Don't come back." "What about you?" She kissed my forehead. I didn't want to leave, but I did. I crawled through the dark tunnel as gunfire echoed behind me. By the time I emerged into the trees, the house was in flames. Black smoke rising against the dawn sky. I never saw her again. 2 weeks later, my father survived, barely. He doesn't talk much anymore. Neither do I. We moved far away, changed names, buried the past again. But I still have the file, and I still remember her last words. "Truth can save, but sometimes it destroys." And so I wait, because one day, when the world is ready, I'll open the file again and burn down the ones who tried to erase her.